Romulus was gone. Rome had no king. For nearly a year, senators governed for only a few days at a time. The Romans called it an interregnum. No faction trusted the other enough to choose a permanent ruler. Romans wanted a Roman king. Sabines wanted a Sabine to rule. The city waited. For the first time, it faced a question Romulus had never answered. How does a kingdom built around one man survive when that man is gone? Rome had conquered its neighbors, and now it had to survive the loss of its founder. Romans and Sabines both wanted the next king drawn from their own people. Plutarch says they reached a compromise. The Romans would choose a king from among the Sabines. His name was Numa Pompilius. He had no ambition to rule. Tradition remembered him at prayer more often than at war. A delegation traveled to his home in Cures and offered him the crown. He refused. Rome had been raised on war, he told them. What place could a peaceful man have among such people? Later accounts say Numa's father and friends urged him to accept. At last, he agreed to travel to Rome. But the Senate's approval was not enough. The gods would have to give their blessing as well. The people gathered on the Capitoline Hill. Numa sat facing south. An augur stood beside him. He marked out a sacred space in the heavens, east and west, north and south. Then he named the signs he was asking Jupiter to send. Below them stood a few hills covered in timber, smoke, and mud. Above them was the open sky. No sword was raised, no crown was lifted. They waited. The augur watched where the birds appeared, which direction they crossed, and whether they entered the sacred boundaries. The birds passed on the favorable side. The augur declared the omens auspicious. The Romans and Sabines bowed. Numa had received his mandate from heaven. One of Numa's first acts, according to Roman tradition, was to dismiss the 300 mounted attendants known as the Caleres. They had been Romulus's personal guard. They reminded everyone who possessed the weapons. 300 horsemen left the king. They did not return. The ruler of Rome walked through the city without armed men around him. Whether it was trust or calculation, the Caleres belonged to the old reign. But Rome remained dangerous. The Sabine War was still within living memory. Spears still leaned beside workshop doors. Old loyalties remained. Numa was also credited with organizing craftsmen into professional associations, flute players, carpenters, metalworkers, and many others. Victory had joined Romans and Sabines, but it had not made them one people. A Sabine metalworker could stand beside a Roman metalworker. Their fathers may have fought one another. Now they shared meetings and festivals. Outside, their weapons still hung nearby. Inside, they used the same fire. Beyond the outskirts lay a sacred grove. Water rose from a spring beneath the trees. Even on still nights, the surface seemed to ripple. Later, Romans believed it was at this grove that Numa met Egeria. The valley can still be visited today. The visible stone shrine was built centuries after Numa's lifetime, but the spring still flows. Some called her a goddess, others called her a nymph. From Egeria, he claimed to have received the new laws of Rome. A senator could dispute a king, but not a goddess. Nearly everything Numa did was later attributed to Egeria. Night after night, the king disappeared into the grove. But perhaps there was only the spring and trees. Numa was credited with organizing Roman religion into a system. He created priesthoods to preserve sacred knowledge. The Pontifex Maximus supervised religious law. The Vestal Virgins guarded Rome's sacred fire. The Salii carried the shields believed to protect the city. The Fetials governed treaties and declarations of war. They called the gods as witnesses. Only then could Rome declare its cause just. Numa did not end Roman violence. He gave it rules. Later Romans also credited Numa with reshaping the calendar. The year governed more than seasons. It decided when courts could meet, assemblies could vote, markets could open, and sacrifices had to be made. Some days belonged to men, others belonged to the gods. A sacred day could close a court. An army would have to wait, because the proper day had not arrived. It was at this time that January and February first appeared on the calendar. January took its name from Janus, February from rites of purification. Numa was also credited with building the shrine of Janus beside the Forum. The shrine's 2 doors stood open when Rome was at war and closed when Rome was at peace. Under Numa, the doors remained shut. The Romans claimed they stayed that way throughout his reign. According to tradition, Numa ruled for more than 40 years. Nearly every ancient institution was eventually credited to him. The priesthoods, the calendar, the guilds, the temples, the festivals, the laws. Either Numa was one of history's greatest lawgivers, or he was later chosen as the man to receive all the credit. Numa ordered that his body should not be burned. It was placed inside a stone coffin on the Janiculum hill. Beside it, another stone chest was buried. It was said to contain books on sacred law and Greek philosophy. The coffins were sealed. Earth, stone, roots. The king lay beneath the hill. 5 centuries later, in 181 BC, heavy rain tore into the earth near the Janiculum. Workers found 2 stone coffins. Roots had wrapped themselves around the stone. One bore the name of Numa Pompilius. When it was opened, no body remained. The second coffin contained books. The scrolls were said to remain legible. They were taken to the urban praetor. For one moment, Rome seemed to possess something almost unknown from its earliest history. A voice that claimed to speak from Rome's earliest age. The praetor read the books, then he refused to release them. He declared that they threatened the sacred rights of Rome. The Senate agreed. The books were carried into the open air. A fire was built before the people. No copy was made. The pages blackened, they folded inward. The words went out of the world. Whatever they contained, ancient wisdom, later invention, or something in between, no one could compare the legend with the evidence. The priests kept speaking, the calendar kept turning. The books were ash, the rituals endured.